What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport. On this episode, we're going to basically try to start finishing up the Honda Civic flip car. I'm probably no longer going to call it flip car because we're kind of going a little bit overboard for a flip car on this one. We're going to not only paint the whole thing with truck bed liner, but we're going to make sure everything works properly. We're going to lower it, and we're going to actually paint the rims. So we have some really cool ideas we've got started on. Also, the 2001 parts car, we started to strip it down and see if we could scrap it out. We're going to do a cool video on that, and we got an offer from a scrap yard, and I had a whole bunch of people come out and strip parts off, including the mirrors, and we made our money back. It was not a great profit, but it was a fun little project that we did. So that's going to be gone today. It's already been basically purchased by a scrap company, and the 2001 has been all prepped, sanded down. To fill you guys in, we're doing the truck bed liner RUSTOLEUM. I'll show you guys that again here in a second. And we've done the hood and the trunk as shown in the other episode. I will link that down below. And on this episode, we're going to be doing the rest of the car, starting with the front and back so we can get our hood and lights put back in, which Zay polished on the last video. I'll show you that again. We're going to show you guys the completed car too. But we're going to show you guys the steps that we're going to do. We used 80 grit sandpaper. It says on the actual RUSTOLEUM to use anywhere from 60 to I think 200. I really like the way the 80 works. We're using basically a vibrating sander, or it's more of a spinning sander than a vibrating sander. A cheap one from Walmart, and it only took me maybe an hour to sand down this whole car. It doesn't have to be perfect. We are repairing the dents here. We're going to basically pop this one out using a suction cup or some hot glue and pulling it out. And we did the back here too. So the back was pretty bad. This was banged in. I basically glued this off. And since the truck bed liner is so thick, it's going to cover up most of the imperfections that we still have. And you can see here, it's a lot straighter than it was. This whole thing was kind of bent in, so we were able to pop that out through the trunk. Of course, in the process, I broke the little release for the gas cap, so I got to get that glued back in. And yeah, this is not the trunk for this car. This is for the other car that I stood it on here just in case it rained. Other than that, everything is prepped up. I'm going to be pulling the trunk off, and we're going to do a wipe down with alcohol like we did in the last one. That seemed to work really good. Allowed the RUSTOLEUM material to stick really well to bind to the metal. And don't forget, use 80 grit sandpaper or something extremely rough. You don't have to worry about sand marks because the bed liner is going to cover that. Also, I have a few rust areas, and especially since this has been sitting for a few days as we went and picked up those two SC300s. And I'm going to hit those with the RUSTOLEUM rust reformer that I bought, and I'll show you guys that here in a second. So really, I'm going to let this thing dry down. I'm going to wipe down everything with alcohol, and then I'm going to hit the RUSTOLEUM. That dries very quick, the rust reformer. I'm going to finish taping off anything I need to tape, and then we're going to set up to roll on the paint, and I'll show you guys that process. Stay tuned. Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and get this fender done up today so I can get these lights back on, the hood back on, and play around with the car. I really rushed this dent removal, and as you can see, I kind of hit up some nipples, which I'm hoping with the truck bed liner that won't be able to be seen. So it's kind of a good testament of if it will work or not. So I'm going to keep those there instead of banging them back down, but the dent is definitely still there, but not nearly what it was before. So it is pushed out, but unfortunately I did dent it up because I was trying to rush it. Also, I got the RUSTOLEUM rust reformer sprayed in any of the spots that had light rust. I've got the whole car wiped down with alcohol, and I'm just going to get set up in paint. I'm probably going to show you guys as I'm going here a little bit, and I'll probably set it up like this so you guys can kind of see how I lay the paint on. I'll probably speed through a lot of it because I showed it with the hood, and I'll probably link those videos. Really, you just want to get it on there like any paint. Put on a nice light coat. This does take, it says 4 to 6 hours to dry, but I found putting it in the sun, it's not that sunny of a day, but just letting it dry, you're usually good in about 2 hours. Today I'm just putting one coat on. I'm going to go light coat on the whole thing. I'll probably swing in tomorrow and finish up the second coat. I started to get the first coat on. I was actually planning on getting the whole car with a nice lighter coat. I am learning a lot too as I keep doing this, that it's hard to put it on really light, but you really need to. Up front here, when I got started, I was talking to somebody, started dipping it a little thicker than I wanted to, and it was really difficult to get it to spread because it's a really thick paint. So it went on a lot heavier here, and I had to keep coming back to thin it out. The one thing you definitely don't want to do is let it sit for an hour or so it starts to get tacky dry, and then go back over it, because it will pull it up. And that will actually ruin that area, and then you got to wait for it to fully dry, cure, sand it, and then repaint it. Now, also, the main reason why I stopped was it rained yesterday. Out of nowhere, it did not call for rain, so I had to throw the trunk back on quickly, and unfortunately, I could not get it to even angle into the garage area with the other Civic, which is now gone, as you can see, to be able to cover it. So along this area here, some rain came down, and you can see it slightly ruined some of the paint here, but nothing really bad. So the good thing is, now I can kind of show you how it's going to look in an area that might have gotten ruined, or you know, I've got some bugs that are even in here that looks like we can just wipe right off, that might have dried on there. So this is a really easy paint to work with. The main reason why I went with this paint is because we want to do something fun, unique. I originally was calling this our flip car, but we're probably going to be a month of doing stuff to this. We hopefully get it done really fast now, but it's been almost a month since we've had it in the shop. We haven't even really shown you much of the engine. The guy before us put headers on their exhaust intake, and it does sound pretty good. It's very, very loud. So I'm going to do a cold start, and we're going to move it out and reset it up so that we can get a really good, I can really get in here well and get the thing painted. And we're going to get back to painting. Also got some VTech logos that are going to go down here that we're going to put on with a heat gun probably in the next episode when we finish up doing the few engine things we need to do in the interior. So let's get that cold start, and I'll pull it out and we'll finish up painting today. Okay guys, I got my paint set up. I want to make sure you guys know, mix this really well every time. To give you an idea of where I'm at, I was at half a can when I was about to start, which should give me plenty of paint to put a nice thick heavy coat on here. I've already done the hood and the trunk with 2 heavy coats. And we'll even be able to do a third coat that's more of a touch-up coat. I wanted to teach you guys a little trick. Any of the crevices, like the door handles and stuff like that, you're not going to be able to roll into. They do sell a Rust-Oleum truck bed spray. And I didn't have it, so I took our Rust-Oleum rust reformer, sprayed it up in the cracks because it is a black, and then I'm going to try to hit it more, you know, try to get into the crevices the best I can with the roller, and hopefully that back shadow will make it look good. If not, I'll go get some Rust-Oleum truck bed liner in a can. I know that works. It can be a slightly different hue of color, so make sure you know, you hit over it with the roller, any of the areas you're doing, but that'll keep you from having any of the colors show through the crevices. Just a little secret I learned. So we're going to be hitting the back and everything. So let's get started, guys. We should be able to finish off this second heavy coat on most of the car. Of course, we'll only have a first coat on the back because of the rain, but I might be able to go back over that by backing it out into the sun and letting it dry. So let's get started. Alright guys, I am losing almost all my light. Zay's on his way up here to put the hood and trunk on. I was going to hold that off to do this final part of the video, but we're going to do a series 2, 3, whatever you want to call it, because I already did the trunk and hood. We'll call that part 1, we'll call this part 2, and we'll show the final video in part 3, but I have just enough light to get you guys some angles on the second coat on the entire car. Now this is pretty much the final coat that's going to be on most of these panels. I put it on really heavy. It is still wet in a lot of spots, so you're going to see some blotchiness in the video. The hood here, I hit, after I did the side panel, I want to let you know, always hit the hood first, because I had to lean up against this, and then I had to re-hit all of this. Obviously most of you should know that, but just to fill you in, I got going, forgot to do the hood first, and then I had to reach really far. But I think even the hood came out really good. Let me show you guys the other side here. We still have the front bumper, and we're going to be using the RUSTOLEUM spray paint on that because there's so many little crevices, and then we're going to hit it with the roller. And just to let you guys know, I have about a quarter of the can left. You can see we did have a dent there, but it does hide them very well. A lot of times in these videos, the light hits it just perfect so you can see it. But in person, a lot of the dents are harder to see. That dent there you can kind of really see because we didn't even try to get that one out. We really went for more of the major ones. I didn't even realize how bad that one was. Mainly because this side's still wet and shiny. Because I just got done doing this side. But from other angles, you're probably not going to be able to see that as well. I just really want to give you guys an idea of how the texture comes out here. It's probably one of the most fun paint jobs I did because it took me like an hour and a half to get this entire second coat on. I'm going to fill you guys in with some pointers. Put it on heavy on the second coat, but make sure you keep respreading it because the way that this paint works is so thick that when you put it on heavy, it's going to start dripping in spots that you first put it on because it kind of really globs up. You just got to keep going over it and over it and over it to kind of spread it because it's really thick paint. It's almost like a tar. And you just got to be patient. Like I said, an hour and a half to do all of this. I actually beat Zay. He was going to come up here and help me finish it off. And he's probably going to be pulling up any moment now. We're going to be able to put the trunk and hood on. But I don't want to put these lights in because I want to be able to lift the trunk up and get a second coat back here because this is my first coat as well as along here. And we don't want to hit those lights since we spent the time to take them out. Why try to hit them? But thanks again, guys. My name's Pete. This is Pete's Carport. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Please like, subscribe, share. Please let people know about the channel. Once I hit 1,000, the channel will rapidly grow. I do have the opportunity to make a little bit of money. I have no idea what that's going to incur. I know a lot of people say it's really nothing till you start making hitting like 30, 40, 50,000, and then you can start really using that money to buy up cars and stuff. But we spend a lot of time trying to give you guys content. This was a flip car that ended up becoming a project car because I really wanted to do this paint job on it and show you guys how cool it can come out, how easy it is to do. And also just because a lot of people are interested in this. You see it on the road. Can you do it on a Honda Civic? I'm also going to link more motorsports in the description. There's a guy out there who's doing some awesome stuff, and he's been doing the spray, Raptor spray, but he also has sprayed on the RUSTOLEUM. Ironically, he just did his brother's Civic. I had no clue when I started to do this, but he sprayed it on. That's going to give you guys an idea of how it's going to look. He also has a video of how difficult, what the procedures are. He did buy a sprayer that was very inexpensive to do it. And I'll link him down below so you guys can take a look at his videos and kind of compare, decide what you want to do. Keep in mind, this is a one-day job. If you have 2 people, definitely a one-day job. If you're taking apart parts like we did, call it a weekend job. Once again, have a great day, guys. My name's Pete. This is Pete's Carport. Please help build the channel and have a blessed week.